Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to East versus West.
Welcome to another Sunday Night Casual. It's me, Dexter, once again, and there has been a few changes to the rule set, and with this change, I think there might be a little bit of pushback, and I could see it from both aisles, but you got to see it from a bigger grand scheme of things of why we do so. So we'll we'll talk about it in just a second, but I just want to welcome everybody. There's been, quite a quite a busy week because we are gearing up to Vienna. It's T minus 6 days to the live show in Austria. So a lot of the staff members, including myself, will be in a few days. We will be traveling to Austria. So first up, Randy is suggesting that we put heat lamps next to the table. Warms everybody up, makes everybody feel pretty good. But no, not really. I do have a question. I want to ask, how many of you guys actually use arm warmers? It's one of the new merch thing that we were thinking about. Arm warmers. I mean, there are two kinds of arm warmers that we were thinking about. One is the full blown one where you're keeping yourself warm. As soon as you get to the table, you kind of remove them, and then you go for your tournament or your super match, right? And then the other ones is something where you can wear it while you are actively pulling, like on a practice, and it keeps the temperature regulated somewhat, right? So I don't know. Do you guys use a lot of arm warmers at all? Very, very curious to hear your thoughts on those. Um, I want to just find out if you guys also what merch actually attracts you guys to purchase. Like, is there anything that you wish that we actually sold on our website? Right. That's kind of like something that I've always wanted to try to find out. What are you guys interested in? So, hey, well, welcome, Mitch. Welcome, Minds 11. Kind of notice, I've been doing this for like half a year now, so I kind of recognize some of the names. Science straps. Science straps. Science straps. Yeah, we've got actually quite a few science straps, but we are saving. Well, actually, not really saving them, but we found a new strap guy. Very affordable, very durable, and uh, at least currently it passes Robert Baxter's smell test. Now, obviously, he's the not just the CEO, but he's a 7-time world champion, WAF world champion, until last year where EVW just took too much of his time, so he couldn't train and compete. But if he says it's good enough, it's probably good enough. But obviously, the final is we got to test it, right? We just got to test it in person. So I think we'll be bringing a couple to try to put it to the stress test. Not obviously on the table during the competition, but more so during practice polls and whatnot. So we're gonna try that, and if that works, we'll be ordering thousands of straps, and we'll get some of those signed. And I don't know if we will sell those because maybe we'll have to think about it. Maybe we do what of a mystery box kind of thing where you get a signed strap, but you don't know who is it signed from. So maybe that's what we got. Let's see. Benji is saying, I got arm warmers made, never use them. I use a sweater typically. So no, not much use for arm warmers. Beanies, sure. Okay, so here's the deal. Our team, because we've been so busy with back-to-back events. We don't really take very much breaks anymore. In the past, East vs. West and King of Table, though they're two separate organization, but they still share the same kind of pool of athletes. With the combination of them, we don't have that same luxury of having a big gap in between for each individual organization, which is why there was more time back then to have trading cards. So we've been trying to push trading cards so hard, but we just don't have the manpower. So I might be looking into outsourcing the design work for the trading cards to another team. So if you guys have any ideas or any recommendation on who would be interested in helping us design those trading cards, let me know. Hit me up, email me, DM me. I would love to find out. Uh, Another one is sweatpants. Sweatpants. That should be relatively easy. Sweatpants. Hand towel. Hand towel. Okay. Need more discount for a country like Asia. Well, technically Asia is not a country, more of a continent. But yeah. Okay. So anyway, Robert Bax is in. Hey, Robert.
Hey, Dexter.
Hey.
Everything?
Yeah, no, I'm just going through the motion of trying to get, you know how I was talking to you a couple hours ago about merch ideas. So the fans are giving, the community is helping me out. They want straps, they want potentially arm warmers, they want beanies, sweatpants, hand towels, sports cards. So just trying to think maybe higher quality dry fit t-shirts, something that doesn't shrink.
Yeah,
so-
I think straps for sure. It was one of the things we need to do next. We had straps from before we bought the league, but they weren't very high quality. They were pretty low quality.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure they're very high quality straps this time.
Yeah. That's right. Cotton and socks is another one. But somebody's talking about discounts for uh the Asian countries because of the currency difference, and we do acknowledge that, and which is why we are exploring the idea. I think one of the biggest costs, really, it's sometimes not the cost of our merch. Like for instance, right now, because of peak time of shipping things out, like a shirt, if you were to, like our jersey, it's almost $40. We'll say $40 on our store, and to ship it internationally, like far away in Asia, you have to kind of add another $30 to for the shipping cost. And so what we are looking is to create sort of warehouses, maybe one in Europe, and potentially, if with enough demand, we could open one in Asia, where there's new fulfillment centers to make all shipping costs way, 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 way down. Right there even rare situations, and it's really hard to put a flat number that's that covers everything, because there are some orders where shipping costs us more than $30, and so it eats into the sort of the whole revenue. But anyway, that's kind of like a long story, but eventually that is going to be a key role in our organization, is focusing on merchandising. And yeah, we will have to figure that out. So not so much on the discount side, but trying to make it easier and more accessible. So dry fit's good. Cotton socks, I think I mentioned that. Zip up sweatshirts. Ooh. Pam, by the way, Pam's on, and she recommended zip up sweatshirts. And yeah, we do have zip up sweatshirts coming next week. So I don't know Yeah. So
We need to consult Pam next time. She's right on.
yeah, she's spot on. Or maybe she saw the bill.
Maybe
She had
that's what it
inside
was.
information. Pam's
But
our accountant.
but it's really not a zip up sweatshirt, it's a zip up jacket. Close enough.
Yeah. Is it almost the same thing?
It's
I don't know.
kind
I
of
don't know
close.
what the
Kind of
difference
close.
is. Sweatshirt. Well, I guess it's a hoodie. I don't know.
It's a what we have instead of a hoodie, we have just a jacket that's a zip up.
Yeah. All cotton is best. Porch the merch. Uh, Someone did mention they'd like the COT 14 jersey, the black one, the all black one that looks really cool. So there's that.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. And coffee mug series. So every event there's a new coffee mug. It might be a small subset though, Benji. So Benji's the one recommending it. EVW 22 mug, 23 mug. The thing is, transporting it is also kind of a nightmare. You know, the tumblers that we use in Switzerland, that was also quite bulky to carry around because they don't compress like shirts or anything, right? So, but something to consider as well. Coffee mugs. Let's see. Well, anyway, let's talk about as more and more people come in, Robert, we can talk about the rule changes that we are activating and that we're following starting in Vienna. But right now we have a fan from Georgia who's asking about a Kimbo versus Mayan left hand at 85.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a good. I think Mayan is maybe a little too advanced, but we're going to find out on Mayan's next match. But that's what I think. I don't think it would be a good match. But we also do want to have Akimbo on as well. So I just don't know if we want to have Akimbo versus Mayan. But if Mayan doesn't do as well as what I think, maybe it would be a good match. But I actually think that Mayan is a bit above that level.
There you have it.
Actually, quite a bit above. I mean, like, I don't think it would be very close.
Another fan is asking if are any athletes in Vienna yet. I don't believe so.
No, they're athletes. There are athletes though that'll be there today. I mean, that are in the tournament that are coming. I know Logan Bittinger is on his way for the tournament, but as far as our athletes for our event, I don't think so. I don't think anybody leaves until Monday is the first one. I think the earliest arrival is Tuesday.
Good call. But I think majority comes in Wednesday, Thursday.
Yep.
All right.
About half and half. About almost half of them come in Wednesday, and a little less than half of them come in Thursday.
Yeah. Here's another one, Robert. Bubble hits for top tier athletes. Fridge magnets.
Mm-hmm.
Collectible action figures. That's pretty funny. 3D printed of Devon's actual hands. And will it be possible to pay by card for merch in Vienna? And the answer is yes. We should be able to accept payment by card for merch. Really,
Yeah.
actually. Now, I know there have been a couple of questions about buying in-person tickets at the event itself. Now, just throwing out there, we are running low on tickets, like really low. I wouldn't wait. If you can buy somehow, ask a favor to your neighbor, and if you don't have a credit card, use somebody else's credit card for now and paying them in cash instead of waiting all the way to the end, taking a long trip to Vienna, only to find out that we are sold out and then you're stuck outside. That would be terrible. So I would recommend everybody, if you can purchase your tickets online, that way you're guaranteed to be able to enter the venue. That's kind of my recommendation for now. So another question about the rule change, we'll address this. So the rule change is has been made known to the athletes a while back. It was proposed a while back. So it's only now that we are informing the public about the changes. So, but the athletes who were preparing were aware of it. Here's another super chat fan, SQN5280 says we need a live EVW 25 from a cruise ship somewhere in our oceans. Remember, I don't know, was I talking to you, Robert, about a lot of these sports and games and whatnot? They would have the entire cruise ship and only surrounded with fans of, of one sport or game or whatever, right? And then they go all day, everywhere they go. There's arm wrestling tables every corner of the cruise ship, right? Like-minded people. That'd be kind of sick.
It's a good idea.
Potentially. What's probably easier if we kind of like booked out a resort in like Cancun or something, wouldn't that be super fun? Arm wrestlers everywhere in the whole resort. And then we have, one of our programs, one of our events at the resort itself. Wow.
That is a pretty good idea. Noel Sanchez is the Mexican Federation president. And he's really wanted us to have an event in Mexico. And in Mexico City might be a little bit tough. In Tijuana might be a little bit tough. But in Cancun, where it's a resort town, it'd be easier for most people to get to, especially in the east, which is more northeast. Where most of the arm wrestlers are concentrated in America. Yeah, I think Cancun's a really good idea.
Yeah. Might be pretty fun. So then every fan is a VIP at that point because you're seeing athletes eating at the buffet line and and then you make a whole event out of this, Robert, where it's not Saturday is the show and Sunday everybody leaves. Those who wants to stay, they can stay on a couple more days and then make it a full week of after polling. That would be pretty fun. Yeah. It'll take some time to go plan that out, but that would be so much fun. Let's see. It was a few people have asked Alijan versus Dadigan. Who do we have on winning this?
Who do we have winning?
Yeah,
we can't say.
Right, I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Well, not only that we can't say because we are part of the organizing team, but it's pretty hard to tell too. To be honest, it could really go both ways.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how. I mean, like if we weren't the organizers, I don't know that I could pick one. Actually, I really wanted to see, honestly.
Let's see. People are mentioning Vitalis in Switzerland. Yes, he is there to work with the Swiss team as well. So Ivan Scaroni, he's over there taking care of him. And then right after that, he'll be heading to Vienna. So perfect timing. So he's all gearing up, warming up, getting prep. Let's see. Robert, this is going to be a really interesting question. Really interesting question. The question is to me, Dexter, which opponents would you pick for Robert? What weight division would you compete in? 115?
Yeah, probably one. Well, I mean, yeah, I could go to 105, but yeah, I wouldn't want to do it at an EVW. I don't think it's right for the
Sure. Of course, it will never be an official sanctioned type event,
Yeah.
but if it's just one of those exhibition matches where you really try your best, but it
Yeah.
doesn't go into rankings or anything like that. It's more of a fun thing. You know,
Yeah.
if you go into the 105, you know who I
Yeah.
really want to see you face, Robert?
Who?
Matt Mass. Because he's
Oh.
so like
Oh.
in your face kind of character, whereas you're
Yeah.
so stoic, right? And to see if he can actually penetrate your defense, that would be
Oh.
pretty funny from a very non-arm wrestling perspective. You know, the antics, you know, the way he would try to trash talk with you and try to get into your head, kind of like get you all fired up. Well,
Yeah.
you won't get fired up. You'll have the stoic nature. I think that's just the funny part. But if you're
Yeah.
at
Well,
105,
that wouldn't be a good match because Matt's just too good. Matt's a star EVW.
oh yeah.
So
Matt's I don't know. I think the last event, right? It felt like he leveled up significantly, like
yeah.
big time since 14. Yeah, since 14, caught 14, I felt like his level just skyrocketed, and
Yeah.
he's gonna be pretty unstoppable lately. But
Well,
I mean,
see, here's the thing: if Matt is not ready, and like if you don't give him any notice, and I mean he'll take the match, like on this match with, um, you know, the match in Vienna, he had no notice. I mean, Frank Lamparelli was out.
yeah,
We had to find somebody, and Matt's always there. Yep, I'll do it, no problem. But and he luckily
mhm,
he was in good shape and had been training, had been pulling. But sometimes if he's not been training much or he's too busy at work, whatever,
mhm.
he'll take the match and not really be ready. Now he's really ready for 2026, so he's going to stay prepared. So he'll. I mean, that's one reason that you'll see better results from Matt if he knows he's pulling way in advance, and so we've given him um, way in advance for the future matches.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he took a match in Colorado, some Philip Larson 2 weight class above him, and they didn't bat an eye. Just, yep, whatever, I'm coming.
Yeah. But he, I didn't realize this at the time. He just said, yes, I'll do it. He's
Yeah.
happy to do it. But later I found out that he had no time to train for that. So he just
Yeah.
came in cold, and it was two weight classes above. I don't know if that would have changed the outcome because Philip is a very strong dude. But 2 weight classes above is a pretty tough challenge. I mean, it's pretty, and to not be ready. So
Yeah.
we won't do that to him again.
Yeah. Let's see. You know what? Somebody just mentioned that Travis comes in on Friday, and I'm actually thinking maybe you and Travis, because Travis hasn't been training very much, and you haven't as well, but he also can trash talk pretty well. I mean, maybe he might be the godfather of trash talk in arm wrestling, right?
Well, it'll be good to get Travis back any way we can get him back because he's so busy with his sons, which is what
Yeah.
he should be. He's focused on Tyson with the Bears, and then he's also focused on his younger son in high school, who's just going into college, who is, he said, even better than Tyson, and will break all of Tyson's records and even be. So his focus is on his sons, and rightfully so. But I'd still like to get him back in, and so I haven't told him this yet, but I want to have him pull Schoolboy left-handed. I think that would be a good match.
Ooh, that is a really good match. The new blood and the old guards.
Yeah.
That would be pretty good. And I mean, yeah, that is good. Schoolboy's left is pretty strong as
And they're,
you saw lately.
yeah. Anyway, that's, I just have that on my notes. I haven't told anybody that or told you that, but that's something I want to talk to Travis about because I think it would be a good match and it would be entertaining.
Yeah. Another one's asking, what was the likelihood that we would have arranged Morozov versus Muratov in February?
The likelihood that we would have,
Yeah.
we would have if we could have gotten the match lined up earlier.
Yep.
We would have done that match, but it just wasn't. We didn't have enough time. By the time everybody was ready to do it, well, I should say we may have done that match. I would have to make sure that Morozov was really ready. And if we could be certain that, and he is looking good and his training's going well. So if we could be certain that he is really prepared and he's really ready and that there's no injury, then we would have done that match if we would have known early enough. But those are some ifs, so I don't know. But we definitely want to see that match.
Right, right. Have you considered uh, cutting couple matches off the card as opposed to um, trying to find ways to cut time for the main event?
Well, I don't really want to cut matches. I would actually want to add matches, but because we just have too many good pullers, and we've got to get, we want to take care of them. But as long as they're not on the main card, as long as they're preliminary matches, they don't count against us with the big subscription services, like the big broadcasters. And so 3 hours is what our target is. So as long as we have, you know, I would say no more than 10 matches on the main card, I think we can hit that number with our rule changes that'll make things more viewable. And it's not just the time that we're after. We want to make it more viewable because for arm wrestlers, for purist arm wrestlers, they don't mind the setups taking forever because they can see, oh, you know, this guy's going for a little bit of an advantage, with with a high grip or with supination coming back. I mean, arm wrestlers understand all that, but regular viewers don't, and they find it very boring and they'll tune out. That's why we have to get away from so long on the setups. And what we've done, early on, I asked that we get we go right from a set grip, not a set grip, sorry, a referee's grip once it goes to referee's grip. So if the first round they can't get their grip, it goes to referee's grip for every subsequent round, and that helped us. It did, but the other option we talked about is just going straight to referee's grip. But then I thought, I want to give the arm wrestlers a chance to get a grip, because if they can get a grip, then let's always let them have a grip. But as soon as they can't get a grip, then it's going to be referee's grip. So that was the first thing that we did, and that was over a year ago, or about a year ago. Then there's other things that we wanted to do, but I made a promise to all of our athletes back in August of last year that we wouldn't make any changes to the rules. Maybe it was even July, unless we got the athletes' consent. So the athletes would have to be part of the process, and so I'll propose the changes, and then we can talk through it. If there's any objection to it, we can discuss and modify. So that's what we've done on this time. So just to get to the rules changes, are we ready to talk about that, Dexter?
Yeah, go for it.
So I've already been getting calls and messages from arm wrestlers and friends saying, "Hey, I don't like the rule changes. This is not good. It's clearly, you're doing this because Devin is benefiting from it, and Devin has got you to do it." And that's completely false, 100% false. I didn't even talk to Devin about it. Devin never talked to me about it. Devin never even asked about the rule changes or asked to have the rules that we're changing. Devin didn't say a word about it. And I never told Devin before I talked to the other athletes. It was all at the same time. I notified everybody at the same time. Here are the proposed rule changes, and this is why. For viewability, for a bigger, wider audience, we really need to do this, I believe. And anyway, so that's just completely wrong. these rule changes are not to help Devin, and Devin never asked for any of them. So it's strictly about viewability and taking our sport to a wider audience. That's 100%. There's no other reason. So, so the first rule change is that after, and this is what I propose to all the athletes, is that after one slip, all subsequent slips go straight to straps. So if you don't want to go to the straps, well, hang on. If you look at the WAL match in 2015 with Devin and John Brezink, that match, the first match, John usually, he'll go right into his opponent's power. That's what makes him the GOAT too, is he'll go test you in your strength. And if he can't beat you in your strength, then he'll go around your strength, or he'll go into his strength. But it makes him better to go into another person's strength. So he went in to Devin's strength, which is straps, and he lost that first round. And then and after he lost, he thought, okay, I'm not going to go into the straps anymore. And so he didn't let Devin slip. He controlled his hand and beat him, twice in a row. So if you don't learn the straps, hang on. That was my premise. But I had a really good debate with Adam Rosinski yesterday, which made me reconsider. And that is, he said, hey, I'm really, hand dominant, and a lot of pullers are hand dominant. And so I could probably control the match, and keep it from straps, and keep it from slipping. But I want to, I want to test it. I don't want to go. I mean, my only chance, of holding on, whatever. I want it to be after I've tested the waters. So I totally agree with him. Actually, I ended up totally agree with him, going back and forth. So the rule change, and I haven't told the athletes this yet, because we've already agreed to, after one slip, all subsequent matches or rounds go to straps. It's going to be after the second slip that every subsequent round goes to straps. So they're going to have two chances. It'll add just a little bit more time to our event, but not bad. But I think it's more fair to the athletes. So I actually agree with Adam on that. And then also, Luke Pulcher also had a similar argument, about that. So that's the first rule change. The second rule change is that instead of 90-second rest between rounds, it's 60-second rest between rounds. And the reason for this is that if you look at all of the other, big sports, boxing, UFC, MMA, they're all 60-second, unless they're, it's a very unusual situation. I mean, it's 60-second rest between rounds. And there are other leagues that do this as well, the 60-second between rounds. We're not the only one adopting this. And then people could say, well, hey, people aren't really ready to do that. They've been training for 90-second rest between rounds. And with enough notice, which I gave everybody plenty of notice on this, you can train your intervals for shorter intervals so that you're ready in time. So that you're training for 60-second rounds. So that knocks a lot of time off. That knocks about, I'm going to estimate, over 30 minutes will come off of our view time, just from that change, right? Just that change alone. And then the other rule change is that once somebody fouls, you stay at the table. So that's one thing that really drags on, and that we lose viewers, I believe, unless you're an arm wrestler. And then hardcore arm wrestlers, none of this matters. They'll sit through 10 hours of arm wrestling, right? But we can't rely on just the hardcore arm wrestlers to help bring this sport to the higher level. So so stay at the table after the foul. people will say, well, hey, what if I want to go chalk up? We'll have the refs will sprinkle chalk on the top of the table, and the athletes can bring chalk over to the table before their match or before their round, and throw some chalk down, chalk up the elbow pad, chalk, throw some chalk on the top of the table, whatever. So they don't have to leave, wander around. Then you got to get them back to the table. That takes a lot of time. I don't know what the amount of time savings that's going to be, but I think it's going to add up to probably even more than the 30 minutes that we're saving on the on the 60 seconds versus 90 seconds rest between rounds. So those are the three rule changes, and I think it's good for the sport. I think it's without those rule changes, I think it makes it very difficult for us to even get a big broadcast network, much bigger than what we have now. Getting us in front of a lot of eyes. So, let's say it's, 20 million viewers, right? That they've got,
Right.
for example. There's some of these networks we're talking to are much bigger than that. But let's just say it's 20 million. We're in front of 20 million, mostly new viewers to the sport. And if they see all this stuff that's dragging on and they don't understand it, they're gonna switch. They're gonna change channels, or they're gonna leave us, right? So
Yeah.
we've got to stay. We've got to have more action. We got to keep the action, and these three things I think help us quite a bit there.
Yeah. So what is the penalty if out of habit an athlete after a foul they just make a quick loop around their side of the corner, right?
Oh,
What is the
the ref,
current penalty?
because it's a new rule change. I mean, people might need a little bit of reminding. So we're going to ask the refs to just remind, like, hey, get back to the table. And then if they don't get back, very like immediately, then it's going to be a warning. And 2 warnings equal a foul, as you know, and 2
Yeah,
fouls equal a loss. So yeah, I mean, that would be the penalty.
great. Couple of follow-up questions here. Uh, One is, could we just ask the ref? The ref asking both athletes if they want straps. If they do, don't even waste time,
Yep.
slipping and go straight to straps.
Yep. That's what we've been asking for about a year now. We've been asking. Now, I don't know, because I'm not up there, to where I can hear what the refs are saying, but that's what we asked the refs to do each match. But I don't know if they remember that every single match. But that's a good point, and we are doing that. And I'll actually remind Luke to remind the refs to do that, make sure that we are doing it.
And and here, I just want to point out to everybody that there's a very subtle thing that Robert just mentioned. I'm not up there close enough to hear things, and I just want to clarify to everybody, right? Robert nor I, we are in any way as soon as the match starts, unless it's some one-off weird fringe case scenarios. None of us, from the like operational management team would influence the outcome of what the refs decisions are. So as soon as that happens, the hit ref gets to make the call. We don't go
Well,
up there and start
yeah.
to,
So
yeah.
just to clarify, we've never done that, and nor will we ever do that,
Yeah,
because if you can't trust your refs to make the right call, then you need to get new refs. I
that's
mean,
right.
but we have the right refs. I'm completely convinced we do have the right refs.
Yeah.
And so my trust is in the refs. And if they, not to say that they're not going to make a bad call. I mean, we're all human, and that's part of the sport. I mean, that's part of any sport that has referees or umpires. They're going to make mistakes. You're not going to want a robot or AI to do it for you. I mean, that's part of the game, right? But we want to get as close. We want to get as accurate as we possibly can and get the right calls as often as we possibly can. And that's why we
Mhm.
have the replays. That's why we have the protests, which we've never had before, up until Colorado. So So those are all the things that we want. We want to we want to empower the refs more. We want to have, the refs making, following the rules, but also a lot of ref discretion. In order to have really things run the way they're supposed to run, you've got to rely on the refs, and we will always rely on the refs. And if that's not working, we'll, you know, we'll find we'll find a better ref. But I don't see that happening. We have excellent refs.
Yeah. The other thing that, speaking of ref, every now and then I hear people recommending getting rid of the down ref. And I think I've mentioned why I'm in support and in favor of keeping both refs, but I don't know. Have you ever shared your opinion on should we or shouldn't we keep the down ref?
I think we should keep the down ref because you're going to it's going to be more accurate. I mean, the calls are going to be better. The head ref or the starting ref is not going to be able to see everything all across the table all the time, but um, he's going to be able to see pretty good from his vantage point, from his side of the table, but not necessarily from both sides of the table. So I don't think we would ever want to we would ever want to let a change like that happen.
Right. Now, what if, right, we have really, really good cameras at eye level and the down ref only monitors from, from the sidelines?
I mean, I guess if we had a way of, and we are doing that with our cameras, I know, and
Yeah.
that's why we've got the reviews now. We made a lot of changes like that. So if it got to the point where we really could rely on that without having more protests, because the only way we're going to be able to know if there was a bad call, that I can see is for one of the opponents to one of the athletes will have to protest. So each time there's a protest, that adds a lot more time. I'd rather have the down ref there so that we have less protests personally.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do sympathize, with people when they say, the down ref is kind of hindering at times, the camera angles. But I've been reviewing the camera angles for the past few events, and it's not often enough that the down ref completely blocks the action. So I don't see there is a very strong need to make those changes, at least for the current time. Um, Also, some in the chat here is uh, kind of asking about why are we trying to make this a strength sport or an endurance sport with the changes? Because back in the day, it was 2 minutes of rest, and then we brought it down to 90 seconds and down to 60 seconds. Like, are we ever going to bring it down to 30 seconds even?
No, I don't think we ever do that. I don't think it's either. I don't. I mean, I think it's actually both. It's an endurance sport and a strength sport. But um, I mean, would you consider boxing an endurance sport? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of endurance there, but it's also a lot of um, power. It's a power skill sport. Um, would you consider uh, would you consider UFC a strength sport, endurance sport? I mean, I think it's
Oh,
both, but they're all 60-second rounds. So my belief is that that's not a very that's not something we need to really focus on very much because athletes can train around that. If they haven't been training, if they've been training for 90-second rounds or 2-minute rounds, well, then they're not going to be good if we just switch it to 60 seconds. But if we give them enough time to train and to do the proper interval training uh, for 60 seconds, it should not be a big factor at all.
yeah, and also to clarify, arm wrestling is categorized as a combat sport, similar to boxing and UFC. So having 60 seconds, it's pretty standard in the combat sports world. UFC does it at a minute, right? Boxing also does it at a minute. So yeah, at the very least now it's transparent and we have a countdown clock. on screen, so everybody knows what it is. Now, the other question to follow up as well is another fan's asking why when will it be a foul if they don't come back to the table after the time is up? Is that a when would it be a foul? Because right now it feels like it's just the ref kind of like hurrying them back, or is a
Yeah.
warning. Should it?
Yeah.
Do we even tell them, uh, warn them, or just straight if you're not back, it's a foul? You know,
No, I think we warn them, especially in the beginning where people aren't used to staying at the table. I mean, we tell, the refs, you got to come back to the table. I mean, you're going to get a warning, and then give them a warning if they don't come back to the table right immediately. And then if they do it again, it's another warning, which ends up being a foul.
okay,
But that's per round, right? So they can do that. Um, they could do it,
per round
twice.
per
They
foul.
could do it 3 times per round.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So when will the full sorry full penalty come into play? Do you see it 6 months later? Before now this becomes a norm, so everybody is expected to know that 60 seconds, or if it's foul you stay at the table. When would that change happen
without having to warn people, it's just
without
automatic.
having to warn people, or will we always have to warn people?
I think we should continue. We should warn people, um, because in the heat of the moment, sometimes you forget things. I mean, sometimes people will just automatically kind of walk away a little bit. But the ref's job is to warn people, I believe. So same thing with fouls. If I mean, what makes our sport also hard to watch, or less viewable for non-arm wrestlers, or for new fans or new arm wrestlers, is um, you've got um, you've got fouls, you've got uh, you know there are multiple things that that cause the fans to lose interest, or to change the channel, or to whatever.
Yeah, take
And
out trash.
so the more we can actually keep their attention, and keep the action going, the better. So so all of these changes we're making, it's for the betterment and for the progress of the sport. And the reason I believe that the athletes didn't have such a hard time accepting this, in fact, most of them just accepted all of these changes right away. It's like, yep, no, it makes sense, because I explained that this is for higher viewership, guys. It's for it's for everybody. It's for the athletes to be able to become real professional athletes like any other mainstream sport. you know they to where this is their job. Arm wrestling is their job. I mean, that's what we want. We want to be able to pay enough to where we have full-time professional athletes all across the board. And we have that, to a fair degree, to some degree, in Europe, in Eastern Europe especially, uh, because of government support. And WAF champions get government pensions,
Mhm.
or stipends. The more championships you win, the bigger the stipend, right? So they can actually, with one medal, in a lot of cases, they can retire, and that's their job, and the government supports them after that. So in order to do that for all athletes, and to have the West actually be able to compete on more of a level playing field with the East, uh, we have to be able to pay the athletes like professional athletes. In order to do that, we have to get on a bigger platform. And so the athletes, it's all for the athletes. It's really for the athletes, and for the sport, and for the league. It's for all of us that this is being done. And they do understand that. And there's a few people who have concerns, or want to argue or debate, which I welcome. I actually think that's a good thing, because that's how you get to the best decisions, is when people have an argument, or have a debate, like, hey, I don't think that's right because of this. I think you should consider this. And then we end up getting to the right decision, And so everybody's on board with the goal, the end goal. And I shouldn't say everybody. There might be some some exceptions, but with these rule changes, we really had. I mean, really, the people that argued the most were people that were either athletes that weren't in this event, or you know referee like Luke Poulter. He had a few concerns, and we talked it through, and I made a change. I mean, I actually listened to these guys because I think they were right on the strap rule. So I changed it. So it's all working together. It's not a dictatorship. It's not a ruling with an iron fist. It's not like, hey, you do what I say, and I don't want anybody to disagree with me, or you're an enemy. I feel the opposite of that. It's like, if you don't agree, tell us. Let's talk it through. Let's actually debate it. And that's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the process, because everybody was like, "Whoa, you're changing the rules a week before the event." Like, no, 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 no. The athletes were aware of it a while back, not a week. We are only now informing everybody with publicly. But uh, yeah. So the other rule question is, why did we make a rule stopping the one person who likes to hold while slipping, Vitali, which is in parentheses Vitali, before a match against someone who depends on slipping? Devin looks fishy.
It looks fishy because Devin is going to try to slip, and Vitaly's going to try to hold.
You're
Well, if
right.
that's the
Why did we
case,
make the change right now during that very, very big event?
but it had nothing to do with this event. Um, I've actually been thinking of this, of these rule changes for quite a long time. Um, had nothing to do with Vitaly and Devin. Absolutely zero to do with that. And if Vitaly doesn't want to slip, I believe Vitaly is one of the people with a strong enough grip and strong enough finger strength that he could stop a slip from happening. He did it with Michael Todd at King of the Table 14
Yeah.
in May in Istanbul. When he didn't want Michael to slip, Michael did not slip. And so, can he keep Devin from slipping if he doesn't want to slip? I don't know. I mean, maybe he can. I mean, I would say that he's the most likely. I mean, he most likely could. I think if John Brezink didn't want anybody to slip, like Devin, he kept Devin from slipping at the 2015 wall. Uh, so so if you don't want to slip, I mean, then hold on. Um, Now, sometimes the other person doesn't have a choice, but if you have a strong enough hand, um, stop the slip. But yeah, again, reiterate, these rule changes have nothing to do with anything other than um, the the viewability of the sport of our sport, and taking us to the next level and helping us get to the next level and getting a lot more viewers. That's 100%. There's not any degree of any other thought that went into it other than that.
Yeah, we have been working towards the direction of getting onto a streaming platform, and as we are having meetings and with different companies, we are learning more and more about their requirements about mm, event duration, for instance. So therefore, it's quite critical that in order for us to go mainstream, which is one of our vision, it's critical that we try to find things to make things more palatable for the newer fans, and it just ease into conversions. But yeah, I know that Robert has some on the chat here that argues that they love seeing grip ups, they love seeing long grip ups, but not everybody does, right? Not
Yeah,
everybody understands the
sure.
intricacies of gripping up,
No,
right?
I mean, hardcore arm wrestlers would probably I mean, I would like to see that too, but not everybody is hardcore. In fact, if we're going to all reach our goal, athletes and and the league and arm wrestling in general, of making this a wider spread and more of a mainstream sport, we can't be waiting forever. I mean, we can't be, wasting all this time on the grip up. Now, if you want to compare us to WAL and other leagues, like MAC, for example, they do a set grip. There's not even a referee's grip. So it's basically just, close your thumb, close your hand, and nobody does it for you, and boom, you're out. Well, you can cheat that grip so easily, and the athletes know that. And there's nothing fair about it, and you can actually, they'll start you with the wrist bowed. I mean, like it's crazy, right? But for viewability, is that the best idea? Absolutely, that's the best idea for viewability. But we can't do that because it wouldn't be fair to the athletes. It wouldn't be fair to the integrity of the sport, in my opinion. So that's why we have to have a balance. So if all we cared about was viewability, we would change a whole bunch of rules, and we would be just like WAF, really, because WAF had a lot of things. I mean, like their goal was not for the integrity of the sport or not for the arm wrestlers or for the hardcore arm wrestlers. It was for viewability, period. And so, 9-inch pads, like way bigger than our pads, way bigger than the WAF pads. I mean, allows you to do all kinds of stuff that you would never be able to do in a normal league. But for viewability, it is better. I mean, there's a lot of, so we have to do what's best for the sport, what's best for the athletes, and what's best for the viewers.
And that balance is really important because when, especially athletes who, in my opinion, if I am training my son to arm wrestle or daughter, really, the path I would recommend them to go is through the WAF, model where they are going to tournaments, the local, regional, the worlds, right? And now our pads are 1 inch bigger on all sides. Well, on both
Well,
sides.
no, it's actually it's a half an inch bigger on all sides.
Yeah, yeah, 1 inch bigger on two sides, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah. Uh, and I think it's a small adjustment versus all making it a lot bigger because the follow-up question somebody had is, are we doing anything from an EVW standpoint? Are we doing anything to make arm wrestling an Olympic sport? Now, this is a question by Mighty FS33.
Well, we're not that's not really what our role is. That's more of WAF's rule or their goal. I mean, that's really what they're focused on is helping the arm wrestling get to the Olympic level, which will help everybody in arm wrestling.
Right.
But for viewability, I you know I don't think that's the best that's the best format or the best rule set for viewability, which is why EVW has slightly different rules than WAF. But there needs to be a standard, and and so if we're going to defer to anybody with the Olympics on the Olympic side, I think we need to defer to WAF because that's been their goal, their stated goal for years, and we want to help them do that.
Yeah, exactly. Um, there is another question that it's in regards to, would it be possible to mic up the corner people? It would help let us know what they see and how the strategy evolves during a match. Ooh. It is always possible. It's just that right now we have, it's more of an operational thing behind the scenes broadcast. Once you start adding more microphones, those lav mics backstage, you're exponentially increasing the possibility of something going wrong, right? This is one thing that I took to heart during Arlington of last year, where there was a miking up issue. The guy at the venue was just screwing up. He couldn't figure out which lav mics was on and which microphone was on and off. I remember even Neil was going back and forth on the stage because his microphone wasn't working. And so to try to clean things up, right? we try to have, you know, what we need on stage instead of trying. I mean, technically, as long as the the athletes would always have their mic on, right? Even in their corners. It's just that it's not um, the athlete's microphone isn't connected to the venue's speakers for obvious reasons. Because if they're having a change in strategy, we don't want it playing over the PA system. But on the pay per view, it is on. So yeah, but I don't see the corner the corner team having their own separate microphone. It's just wait, you're adding 4 more microphones uh on stage, but that means we are adding 8 more microphones to the system because they're constantly rotating them out. So yeah, it's very unlikely you will see that happening anytime soon. Here's another super chat by Proving Astrology. Speaking of growing sports, I watch arm wrestling with non-fans. Many athletes do well. Devon, Travis, but Aussie gets the best newbie reviews. Now, what I think one thing also people forget now, going back to WAF, somebody is mentioning WAF is already under the Olympic umbrella of corporate governance through aims. But I think it wouldn't be too difficult for WAF to push through because they are very compliant. They even utilize WADA, which is the Drug Administrative Association. So I think yeah, they're very very compliant.
Yeah,
Mm,
they are. Um, yeah. So I would just hope that there's enough. I mean, based on the current rules of WAF, that there's enough interest, fan interest to watch the Olympics. If there's all those strict rules and people are getting fouled out before before they really have a chance to really pull, that turns off fans, in my opinion, worse than anything else.
yeah,
So I would just hope that the viewership is high enough to where it really does advance the sport. I hope it does, but yeah, I mean, so I would view WAF as the Olympic side or the amateur side of the sport,
yeah,
and then EVW, for example, would be the professional side, and and I think you need both,
yeah,
but we need to. I mean, I can't tell WAF what to do, but I would hope that WAF would if it goes to the Olympics or if it looks like it's getting close to going to the Olympics, that they would make some provisions for viewability, for better viewability.
yeah. Makes sense. Uh, let's see. There is another question by Mighty FS33. Is Ingen Terzi welcome to pull for EVW?
Well, I think it's too soon. I mean, if things change, I mean, time is a good thing, and who knows? But right now, I don't think it would be good um, to do that right now.
Okay. Uh, another one is asking if what about Onga Bayev and Yoshi?
So we've got to find out if Angerbayev is healthy enough right now. He thought he was back in March in Arlington, and he might have been, but he was a bit injured after that match. So we've got to find out if he's even ready. And Snežana Baeva is checking on him right now. So if he's healthy, we want to make sure that he's 100% healthy. Um, I think that could be a good match. But I believe the right match for Yoshi is somebody with a good press, or that is that knows how to beat a king's move. And Angerbayev, yeah, he does have some of those skills, but yeah, first and foremost, I think we would want to make sure that Angerbayev is healthy.
Yeah, Yeah, that's right. Now, for everybody else, just a quick reminder to your codes that you're using from athletes or one of the content creators only works for the bundle or the single pay-per-view pass. I know I'm getting a lot of emails about this. It does not work for the annual pass. Yeah, it doesn't work for the annual pass, and it doesn't work for merchandising just quite yet. We are figuring that out right now, and as soon as we should be ready after Vienna, shortly after Vienna, that should go live. So very excited to see how the numbers comes in. We have a lot of very enthusiastic content creators, and you know, and for the athletes, yeah, support them, support all of them because it's sort of a rev share with them. And I would love for any and also this is not my idea. It's actually from the fans. One of you guys from the community hit me up and kind of made me start thinking, and with enough interests, it pushed it up to sort of my to-do list. So I really like the community. You guys are very vocal on what you guys want, and yeah, and I think that's how Robert and I we can help be part of this growth of arm wrestling. With that, I'm gonna leave you guys. And Robert, do you have any last thoughts or any announcements, questions, things you want to bring up to the fans?
No, just really excited for Vienna, and I think the community's excited about it. I know that the athletes are very enthused too, and so I think 2026 is going to be the best arm wrestling year ever,
Oh,
and we're going to have some of the best cards ever. Vienna is very, very good, um, but it's not going to stop there.
it is not. It is not. The venue's looking better and better. We have, I think, from a production standpoint, it's going to be probably the best light show we've ever had. So pretty excited to see how this shakes out. And with that, thank you, Robert, for being on, and everybody else who's watching. We'll see you next week in Vienna, or from Vienna.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.